One of the nicest advantages of having a custom nutrition plan is that the math has already been done for you. You have a nicely laid out day with options for 4, 5, or 6, sometimes even 7 meals over the course of the day. And at some point, you will max out of that current plan. We want you to have an excellent understanding of how to make some meal replacement substitutions. So we created this worksheet for that purpose. First piece I'm going to point out, this head logo in the upper right corner. If I left click on this, it is going to reset the entire form. I don't want to do that right now because I've preloaded some information in the body of this form. So I'll save that piece for later, but please know that's where you clear out the form so you can reuse it. This worksheet answers how much can I have when I want to explore different meal options. So moving to step number 1, the information that I've entered here answers the question, what are my current macros for the meal I want to replace? So the first step involves going to MyFitnessPal, and I've already used the MyFitnessPal tool to look up these foods and then transfer them back over to this form. These food and the servings roughly tally up to about 4 ounces of chicken, around a half cup of cooked rice, 1 cup of stir-fry vegetables, and about a teaspoon of sesame oil. You can see that each of these columns have a total. No worries, you don't have to manually do that math and add up those numbers. The columns will automatically add. And we come up with a total of 298 calories, 29 carbs, 29 protein, and 6 fat grams. We enter step 2 when you have the question, I wonder if I could have, and then you fill in the blank. This is a pretty frequent question, especially when we have new recipes posted. So again, I'm going to go to MyFitnessPal so that I can answer the question, what are my current macros for the meal that I want to replace? So if I'm thinking of, and I have preloaded some recipes in here just for the sake of time and efficiency. One that I can think of right now are the buffalo chicken meatballs. And I'm thinking I may try 3 meatballs and see how that works. Now, what I would suggest that you do is go ahead and print this form so that you can have it beside you while you're entering and calculating and seeing some of these numbers in MyFitnessPal. For now, I'm going to see here that, well, 3 servings of these meatballs is 105 calories, 3 carbs, 2 fat, 16 protein. I know that I need a little bit more in this meal, so I will bump that up to 4. And I'm going to save that. So my totals right now, I have 140 calories, 5 carb, 22 protein, 3 fat. Going to take that over to my worksheet, and I'm going to put in chicken, meatballs, 3. And again, my calories, 140. No, sorry, I went up to 4. 140 carbs that I have in that meal are 5 so far. Protein, I have 22 and 3 grams of fat. I have some room because if I compare the totals above, 298 calories, we're not as worried about the calories as we are the discrepancies with the carbohydrates. So I still have 24 carbs to go. And then 7 grams of protein and 6 grams of, well, that hasn't totaled in yet. Yep, 3 grams of fat. So let's say that I maybe I want to have on the side of that a little salad with some quinoa in it. So if I did quinoa, and over here, I'm just going to do a half cup. So half cup would be half of 237 milliliters. So probably just easier right now to do a half cup. We'll do a half cup measure. And a half cup of that, again, I'm going to tally that up, 111, 20 grams of carbs. It's going to be 2 grams of fat, 4 protein. And taking that information, I go back to my form and I have quinoa. You can use MyFitnessPal, or you can use MyFatSecret, or any of the other tools that we use to enter in information and find specific macros. So 20 carbs, and I said 4 grams of protein and just 2 grams of fat. So I still have a little bit of room to go. I think that, and I have about 50 calories left. But again, more importantly, it's going to be the carbs, protein, and fat discrepancies. I think that I could probably get away with a small mixed green salad. So let's try that. If I did maybe salad greens, and we'll do a simple swap. Let's just do a cup of those. And lastly, I think I will do, to keep life simple, Bolthouse Farms dressing. Maybe we just do a tablespoon because it's a tiny little salad. And there are our numbers for each of those. Mixed green salad is 20 calories. It's going to have 3 carbs. It's going to have 0 fat and 2 grams of protein. And then the dressing is going to have 23 calories, 2 carbs, 1 protein, 2 fat. I take these numbers over to my form. I copy them over. I'm just going to put salad and 20 calories, 3 carbs, 2 protein, 0 fat. Put my Bolthouse. And actually, I need to make sure that I have my measurements in here too. So we'll go back and we'll add those. All right. And lastly, I think that Bolthouse was 23 calories, 2 carbs, 1 protein, and 2 grams of fat. So once I hit and total up these numbers, we're going to see how they compare to the column above. And I think that we've done it. So if I compare these totals columns, 298 calories, 294 calories, again, that's not going to be as important as coming pretty close to these macros. I personally would like to see the carbs maybe within 3 or 4 grams. So the original meal has 29 carbs. This one has 30. The original meal has 29 grams of protein, spot on, 29 grams of protein in this meal that I did, and then 6 grams of fat in the original and 7 grams of fat in this meal. So very, very close. So chicken meatballs with a side salad and a little bit of quinoa. So that's one way to use this form. I will also say that there are some pieces on here that aren't covered in separate columns, but some other things that you want to be aware of. I would suggest, for example, if you're looking at sodium, for most people, unless you've been given a different guideline, general suggested sodium intake is 2,200 milligrams or less per day. So that averages out to about 300 milligrams of sodium for your snacks and about 500 milligrams of sodium for your main meals. I like to see these protein and carbs within 3 grams in the meal totals. So this column and this column, and then the fats within 1 or 2 grams. We did do that. So that is our macro comparison form. Zero it out. All of the other entries go away and you can start clean. Again, last piece I would be looking at, and it is totaled in this column. The buffalo chicken meatballs are delicious, but you can see in order for me to meet my macros, this serving size is 655 milligrams of sodium. So that's something about which to be aware. This entire meal only has 3 grams of sugar, so that's very low, but sodium clocks in at about 300 milligrams higher than what I would normally do. But from a macro perspective, this meal works. Just be aware of some of these other finer points as well. All right, happy swapping.